Hello, I'm Mike Hayes, and welcome to our latest video on walking chords inspired by the Barry Harris system. Well, as I'm sure you already know, the Barry Harris system offers us a distinctly different way of thinking about harmony and improvisation. Barry's system moves us away from the traditional way of thinking about chords as being the children of a parent scale, a single parent scale. Whereas with the Barry Harris system, each chord is thought of being part of a diverse set of scales, which gives us a great amount of freedom and harmonic colour. And that's the idea of these videos at the moment, to give you an opportunity to apply the Barry Harris system and that type of thinking to arrangements and songs that you would play at gigs and at jam sessions. So that when you see an F minor 7th chord, for example, you would know that you could also think of this chord as an A flat 6. And this A flat 6 chord could be part of an A flat major 6 diminished scale, which would mean you could move between an A flat 6 and a G diminished 7th chord. Now, we know that Barry Harris influenced a tremendous number of keyboard players, but I thought it would be a good idea in this video to also include a number of guitar players who have been inspired or influenced by the Barry Harris system. So you might like to check it out. For all I know, you might already know about these players, but there might be some that would be new and also they'd be worthwhile checking out. So without any further ado, let's get started. Our first step in creating walking bass lines using the Barry Harris system will be to analyse the chord progression and create a Barry Harris style template. And by that I mean we're going to think in terms of creating movement. At the top of the screen you'll see the chord progression for the first 8 bars of All the Things You Are. And this is the type of chord progression you'll see in most of the fake books. We've indicated this chord progression in white. At the bottom of the page you'll see a Barry Harris style version of the same 8 bars. And we've indicated the Barry Harris style progression in gold. Let's do a bar for bar analysis and comparison of the two versions of the same 8 bars. In bar 1, the fake book version has F minor 7. If we were thinking of this chord in terms of the Barry Harris system, we would think of this chord as an A flat 6. Which would mean we could create movement between an A flat 6 chord and a G diminished 7th chord. On to bar 2. The fake book has B flat minor 7. In terms of the Barry Harris system, we would be thinking of this chord as a D flat 6, which means we could create movement between a D flat 6 and a C diminished 7th. Moving on to bar 3, and you'll notice that we've left this chord the same in both versions. Now, one of the ways I could create movement with this E flat 7, if I was thinking in terms of the Barry Harris system, would be to play E flat 7 on the first beat, then D diminished 7th on the second beat, and this would be the diminished chord that we'd find in an E flat 7th diminished scale. The next chord, on the third beat, I'd play a common note diminished chord, which in this instance would be an E flat diminished 7th chord. And then on the fourth beat, I'd finish with an E flat 7th. On to bar 4, and the fake book has A flat major 7th. In terms of the Barry Harris system, we would think of this chord as an A flat 6th. In terms of the Barry Harris system, a major 7th chord is thought of as a major 6th with a borrowed note. In this instance, we'd borrow the note G from a G diminished 7th chord, and they would be the two chords in an A flat major 6 diminished scale. You'd have an A flat 6 chord and a G diminished 7th chord. On to bar 5, and the sheet music has D flat major 7th. Using the Barry Harris system, we would think of this chord as a D flat 6 with a borrowed note. And the borrowed note in this instance would be the note C, and that would come from the C diminished 7th chord, which would be the other chord that we'd find in a D flat major 6 diminished scale. Okay, moving on to bar 6, and as you'll see, we've left this chord the same in both versions. If I wanted to create movement using the Barry Harris system, I would play G7th on the first beat, F sharp diminished on the second beat. Now that would be the diminished chord that occurs in the G7th diminished scale. On the third beat, I'd play a G diminished 7th chord, and that would be the common note diminished chord. On the fourth beat, I'd play G7th. On to bars 7 and 8, and the sheet music has C major 7th. Once again, in terms of the Barry Harris system, we'd be thinking of this chord as a C6th with a borrowed note. And the borrowed note in this instance would be the note B, and we'd be borrowing that note from the B diminished 7th chord, which would be the other chord found in the C6th diminished scale. Okay, that completes step 1. Step 2 is to select a chord voicing that matches the sheet music. All that simply means is that we want the highest note in the chord, that's the soprano voice in the chord, to match the original sheet music chord. For example, the sheet music had F minor 7th in the first bar, so we want an inversion of the A flat 6 chord that has the note F as the highest note. And we use this same process all the way through the chord progression. For example, in the second bar, the sheet music has B flat minor 7, so we're looking for a voicing of the D flat 6 that has B flat as the highest note in the chord. And here's that inversion of D flat 6 with B flat as the top note. Moving on to bar 3, here's the inversion of E flat 7th with E flat as the top note. On to bar 4, and here's the inversion of A flat 6 with A flat as the top note. On to bar 5, and we're looking for D flat 6. And here's the inversion of D flat 6 with D flat as the highest note in the chord. On to bar 6, and here's the inversion of G7 that has G as the highest note in the chord. And then finally on to bar 7, and here's the inversion of C6 that has C as the highest note in the chord. Okay, let's have a listen to the first 8 bars of All the Things You Are. The third step is to move the top note of each chord from the first string over to string 6. So we'll be dropping the highest note of each chord down 2 octaves. And the other thing we'll be doing is to leave out all the notes on the second string of each of the chords. So we'll end up with a 3-note chord played on the 3rd, 4th and 6th string. Let's have a listen to that. fourth step is, if you want to create even more space, we can leave out the note in each chord that's played on the fourth string. So we'll only be playing notes on the sixth string and the third string, and this will create the interval of a tenth. Let's have a listen to that. Well, that's it for today, folks. I do hope you enjoyed the lesson, and I hope there's something in this lesson that'll help you develop your own musical style on guitar. If you enjoyed this session and felt you got some value out of it and you'd like to support this channel, there's a link in the description below this video. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on all the good stuff. And if you like this video, don't forget to give us a like. It really helps us out. Until next time, all the very best with your guitar playing. Bye for now.